if it works. Okay, welcome everyone to the first C3 stream of 2023. I've got a lot of people on here. We're going to talk about some comics from last year that we really liked. Um, I'm just going to go. I don't know if our orientation is the same on everybody's little thing, but I'm just going to go off mine. So we got Kyle right next to me. We got Javier. We got Royce over in the little corner on the other side. We got Kelsey. I'm going to have all their socials and websites in the description of this video. So for you guys who want to check their stuff out, they all do great work. I've seen it on the Discord. If you're not a part of the Discord, follow the Discord. Real quick before we get started, actually, I'm going to screen share.
Okay.
Maybe. Okay. If I can get it going. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay.
Is this the time approved stamp of when we can swear?
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to kill enough time.
Shitballs.
Fuck yeah.
There, George Carlin, there are 7 words you can't say on TV.
Oh, I love
Shit,
that.
piss, cock, cunt, cock, sucker, motherfucker, and tits.
Somebody knows it.
I know it.
In there.
Okay. Hi, Mom.
I don't want my parents on here.
Before we get started,
even if my mom were watching, she knows me.
That's true. Before we get started, I'm going to plug a couple things. Go to the Ko-fi for the Columbus Cartoon Coalition, C3. We got a newsletter that you can join for any updates. We got a BIPOC anthology, so if you join and are a person of color, you can be a part of this anthology and make some cool comics with a bunch of other people. We got a Draw This in Your Style for our logo. The deadline's the 25th, so you can join that and enter that. And we got a winter coloring book on sale on our Ko-fi. So Ko-fi, coffee. Every time, I can never remember how you say it, but it doesn't matter. There's a coloring book. Go buy it. That's it. We're good.
Do it.
Support us. And not because I swear like a sailor, but because everybody else is cool.
But if you also want to swear like a sailor,
that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to censor.
Feel
I mean,
free.
I make pirate comics. That's why I swear like a sailor.
That's good.
it's appropriate. It makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, Javier, start us off. What comics did you like in 2022?
Too many, but the ones that got me through the last year, honestly since 2020, because that's when this started. Once in Future.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
By Dan Mora, Kieran Gillen, and Tamara. I probably should practice it before. Tamara Bunvillain. The artwork alone influenced me. My inking style skyrocketed after this, honestly. But it's basically about like if stories came to life and how that would affect the real world. It starts off with like an excavation of like Excalibur's sheath, and the resurrection of King Arthur and how that is not a good thing.
I like it.
I highly recommend it, especially if you like those kind of Arthurian mythos, especially because it actually, I did not know there was a lot of variations on the mythos.
So many.
Yeah, there's literally not to spoil too much, but like towards the end, there's literally a fight of every single variation against each other. It is hilariously great.
That's great.
Is this like a completed comic or?
Yes, it just recently finished in November, I think.
Gotcha.
It's like 30 issues if you were to get the floppy, but they did collect it. I have the volumes, and this is one. I have like 2 and 3, and I think there's 4 and possibly 5. I'm not quite sure.
Cool.
Dan Mora. I have a Dan Mora book that I want to talk about too. Dan Mora is
good.
He
knocks it out
popping
of the
off.
He knocks out of the park, and he does like 5 books. Like I feel like he's everywhere.
He does that. He does stuff for DC. I feel like he's done stuff for Marvel. He does comic covers. He does Power Rangers. I've never wanted to read Power Rangers before, but his artwork makes me too.
I but
is.
I want to just because of him. And like Klaus is another one. I didn't.
Yeah.
I have it on my shelf. I have the deluxe hardcover version. It's so good.
Sexy Santa Goes on Adventures.
Yes.
That's so
It is
cool.
incredible. And talking about his DC stuff specifically, I need to read Once in Future because I found out only recently that he worked on that, and now I'm hungry for it. But the way that he just kind of boils everything down into kind of like the quintessential version, but also somehow makes it contemporary. Amazing.
Oh yeah, and there's a in his artwork, his inking style has a sort of kind of a grit to it, like an 80s 90s kind of grit, but like in a very clean fashion. I don't know if that's confusing to say, but he's actually currently working on The World's Finest, I believe. I think he's still doing it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Really, really good.
Cool.
He's got a Shazam book coming out too, also with Mark Waid.
Ooh.
I'm telling you,
It kind of has like a maybe Silver Age-ness to it, which is very perfect.
And that makes sense for him being paired with guys like Grant Morrison and Mark Waid. Kieran Gillen is a very interesting pairing for him.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Still blows me away because apparently Once in Future was supposed to be only a 6-issue short run. And I know, and it got like 5 times that.
Yeah. That's like the opposite of what usually happens.
Yeah. I was going to say a lot of stuff gets canned, so.
Yeah.
It's a long-running series.
Not like Netflix right now, but that's neither here nor there.
Jade was thrown.
I see what you did there.
The other one that's really influenced me recently, I got into this literally last year. This is a 6-issue run, I believe, 6 or 5, but it's called I Hate This Place. It's actually, the title varies. It's I Hate This Place. Where's the camera? There it is. Or Gracefully. I think there's one other variation, but like it is kind of funny that it has like 3 different titles.
I think Andrew Fairland did that too.
But it's all part of the same canon.
And I can't really even sum up the story very well, to be honest, because honestly it ends on like a sort of cliffhanger because it doesn't really solve a lot of the mysteries. But there's this girl and her girlfriend go to a ranch that's out in the middle of nowhere that she inherits from like her aunt, and it comes with rules. You can't don't go to the forest. If you see a man in antlers, you have to run the opposite direction as fast as you can. There's a room to stay in because at night the dead rise and come towards the house. They can't enter the house, but it's that there's some the UFO elements into it because they're suggested that there's aliens involved.
Goodness.
There's a poltergeist that just lives in the house as well as a treasure hunt murder mystery going on at the same time. And it's literally everyone has their own motives and motivations to be there, and it all like kind of coalesces to a climax at the very end that's very satisfying.
Sounds a little bit like Rat Race, but with the undead.
Also,
the thing that's
without spoiling too much for this, also is so nice to see queer representation where there's no Barry the gays. In fact, it's buried the straights instead.
I mean, it's about time, probably.
It's about time, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a whole lot of
queer. Yes,
it's a whole lot of mystery. There's the artwork is phenomenal. As Kyle Starks, Antium Toplin, and Lee. How do you pronounce the last name? It was Lowridge.
Lowridge, I think. But that's honestly me trusting a podcaster who pronounces it that way. So
yeah,
take it with whatever grain of salt you want.
But yeah, like look at these like beautiful colors and inks. Like the inks alone, I loved.
Ooh,
so
yeah,
I love the color use. Holy,
yeah.
Oh my, yeah, no, they're super vibrant. Without like clashing or anything.
Yeah, but that like makes a really good use of the like a tetra. I'm trying to remember the proper word for this, but where it's like a trinary, I think it is, where it's like 3 colors, but it's like a split tertiary kind of a thing. I like it. I like it a lot.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I forget what that's called.
I forget what it's called too.
Whatever you just called it is what I will call it.
It sounded good, so I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah, it sounds about right. I don't know technical terms.
What did they call it? And I will use that for now.
Yeah, if I can find it again, I was looking at a YouTuber who was talking about advanced color theory and talking about different color arrangements outside of complementary, split complementary, but like going into the more advanced forms of those. And it's one of those more advanced forms, and I don't remember what it's called, but it's really cool.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to share it on the Discord when I find it.
I was gonna say share it on the Discord. And if you're not a member of the Discord, join the Discord.
Yeah.
And I do have one more. I hope it's okay if I read this last year because it came out because I made it last year.
Oh, a little self-plug. Okay.
A little bit shameless. I'm sorry. But if you liked I Hate This Place, like those kind of themes where supernatural and a bunch of kick-ass women. It's basically spaghetti western mixed with magic. And this is my first issue. I'm actually currently posting this on my Webtoons.
Ooh.
Nice.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
That's in the link in the bio, I believe, right?
Yeah, the description of the video has that link, but I'll post it right now in the comments, just for you, buddy.
That's awesome.
Javier, I love your color. Whenever you post anything on the Discord that you've done color on, your color palette is phenomenal.
Thank you very much. It took a lot of work too, and honestly, it came from reading stuff like this. Where let me just find a page. There's a page in here. Look at this. Like the color choices.
I love that.
Everything becomes super saturated when like there's something magical afoot. There's let me see if I can find a moment where they bring up Beowulf. Oh,
they bring up Beowulf in this comic?
There's a lot of people there's a lot of because the entire concept is storytelling brings life. Like it comes to life in this. So while you recreate the events, you gain the role of the main character of it. For instance, like one of the characters accidentally takes the role of Gawain.
Ooh. Okay.
Accidentally because she didn't know what she was doing, and she cut off the Green Knight's head. Which, if you know Gawain's tale with the Green Knight, it takes 1 year hence to receive the blowback that you give.
Yes.
And
I have to read this. Did you ever read Phonogram by Kieran Gillen and Jamie McKelvey?
I will be very honest. I actually didn't really know who Kieran Gillen was beforehand.
That's when I first ran into it. I mean, he's done a billion comics since then. He did Wicked and the Divine with McKelvey.
Okay, I am familiar. Yeah.
He's written Star Wars and a bunch of other stuff, but Phonogram, and it's been years since I read it, but it's something to the effect of music and magic have an overlap, and there's a lot of like playing with like how art can manifest things in that kind of way. It seems to be something that he enjoys thinking about and writing about. I need to read that book. That sounds so good.
It sounds really good.
I'm pretty sure a hardcover is coming out soon. So if you're done with floppies, Kyle,
I hate
join me on the dark side and spend too much money on comics.
I don't have any room, and I don't have any time. I need to change something. It's sad. Maybe.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, I was gonna say, but yeah, that's what I've been reading. At least the things that have affected me the most, to be honest.
Nice. Yeah, for sure. Check out Hex in the West, guys, because it's very good. I picked it up at, I want to say Space this year. You were tabling at Space, right?
Oh, that was so long ago.
It was a while back, for sure.
Yeah. I am working on the second half of that issue, and I will collect them into one single issue, so it's front and back, beginning to end of the story. So when that happens, that should be like in spring or something.
Yeah, please let us know. We'll do a little shout out, a little interview, whatever you want. So
I'd love that. Thank you.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt like we needed a closure. Okay, there we
Yay.
go.
Clap, 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 clap.
There we go. Kyle, go.
Oh, okay. So I have in front of me a lot more than 3 because I was like, well, I'll just pick 3 when it's time. So you're gonna see me pick like 1 or 2 very confidently, and then the third one I'll have to make.
I like that. I think this is like the true like how much you love these comics. You got to pick them on the spot. So
well, yeah, like I'm not gonna tell you ahead of time you're my favorite. I need to be forced to tell someone what my favorites are. I'll just start out since we were talking about it earlier. The first one I knew I wanted to share was World's Finest by Mark Waid, Dan Mora. And
Can you show us the cover again?
Yep, sorry.
Ooh.
Bond villain. I forget the Aditya Bond. Nope, that's the letter. Tamara Bond villain is the colorist. So Dan Mora, end of sentence. Dan
Yeah.
So
What more needs said?
That is in and of itself reason enough to read World's Finest. The main reason outside of Dan Mora that I love this book and why it's one of the only ongoing books that I make sure I don't fall behind on, even though I'm like a couple issues behind now. But, that's life. So Mark Waid is the writer. He had been away from DC Comics due to some falling out with editorship or editorial for a while. And he came back, and Waid has always been he was one of the first writers that I actually read when I was a kid. So I've kind of always had an interest in following whatever he did. In this book, he is telling everything outside of continuity in a way, like it ties in enough to where, like, if you care about that thing, there's still connected threads, but it's very much kind of in its own bubble. He has a lot of the classic versions of characters and a lot of classic relationships of characters, and it's not bogged down by all the stuff that's going on outside of it. Finding that particularly with Cape Comics, superhero comics, mainstream DC, Marvel comics, and this is probably a function of me not reading as regularly as I did when I was younger. I need your Cape book to be kind of its own thing and good on its own first, before I can really care about anything else. And this is the only, let me think about this. I'm buying 3 other DC books. This is my favorite, and it's really the only one I consistently read, because Dan Mora, period. Because it does its own thing, and it's not embarrassed to be.
Oh yeah.
Like, that's the other thing that pulls me away from Cape Comics now, is a lot of them feel embarrassed. And I think there is a time and a place to have different kinds of Cape storytelling. But I don't know. For me, it's kind of a palate cleanser after reading a whole bunch of stuff that's kind of navel gazing in its own continuity. So highly recommend it. It is ongoing. I think they're up to issue 9, I believe. 10 may have already come out. I haven't been to the shop in a couple of weeks, but that would be my first recommendation. I do think there is a fill-in. So Dan Mora doesn't do all of it, but the fill-in is, I have it here because it's also gorgeous. Travis Moore. Travis Moore did the art for a Robin flashback book, and it's very. Let me find a good showcase.
It's the one that like it spun off. Oh, that's so nice.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
And
Dope.
again, let's talk about color again, because this color doesn't make me like mad.
What is it? What is it about it that makes you not mad?
What is it about it that makes me not mad?
Yeah.
It's not overly rendered. It's got saturation where you need it. The blues are bright blues, the reds are bright reds, the yellows are bright yellows. And for a book with Superman, Batman, and Robin, I think that's appropriate. I don't think you need to overdo it with a book like that. Next would be Jonna and the Impossible Monsters.
Oh, I've been seeing that art lately.
This
Yes.
is
Cute.
from the Somni. So this is Chris Somni and Laura Somni, his wife, does co-plotting with him. I'm not fully confident in how much the division of labor, like how that works. I just know that they had this story that they've been cooking up, and when COVID happened, they decided to just make a book. Matthew Wilson on colors, who's been Somni's collaborator for most of the time I've read him. This is Chris Somni's first time writing a book. Well, he was a co-plotter with Mark Waid, I think, on Black Widow, maybe it was. But this is his first time doing, I think, script duties. And the pitch is that it is in a fantasy world where this girl named Rainbow, I think her name is looking for her sister Jonna. The last time she saw Jonna, that's Jonna. Last time she saw Jonna was when the monsters came.
Oh.
And so she's like exploring this kind of fantasy world, looking for her sister and kind of trying to figure out what happened to her. And when she finds her, like what has been going on in Jonna's life. It's just very sweet and gorgeous, and it feels like a Pixar movie or something. Like it's just, and again, like with the color, just Matthew Wilson with a line like Somni's, who I consider very clean and very kind of open. I think having that kind of not entirely flat, because there is some texture, but I think the flat colors actually help it quite a bit. And like, I don't know, like weird thing, like the way he does foliage. I love the way he does foliage, and I want to do that. I need to learn how, so I need to stare at this book more. But just,
I was about to say, show us the foliage.
it's just,
That is-
Ooh, not bad.
it's just good.
That's cool.
Okay. Oh god.
I envy people that can do that.
I'm not going to talk about it, but Firepower is also by Chris Somni with Robert Kirkman, and it's also very good.
Mm.
I'll say 2 Somni books from this past year that I very much enjoyed.
My mic was off, but I was going to ask who the publisher was on the book.
Sorry, yeah.
Not
So
Firepower, the one before.
this is Oni Press.
Hmm.
Oni Press also published Scott Pilgrim.
Okay.
But
Didn't they also do Seconds by Brian Lee O'Malley?
They did do seconds.
I think they've
That's
done
what
all, yeah. Oh
That's
no,
what I
was gonna
thought.
Yeah, I was about to say they've done all of Brian Lee O'Malley stuff, but I don't think that's true. I think Image did the one. I think they did. Was it Sick Girl or what was it called? Anyway, the one.
Snot
before.
Girl.
Snot Girl. Thank you.
I still need to read that.
It's a
I think
good
that
time.
was Image, but I'm trying to think of other Oni books. Sixth Gun was an Oni Press book that came out a while ago, but that was one that I followed very closely. I like the publishing house.
Oh, and Kyle, it's on issue 10, The World's Finest.
World's Finest is on issue 10. Oh,
Yes.
I gotta
And the
go
next
this-
one, it seems to be coming out on the every 15th or 20th.
Okay.
So there should be another one this month if they're, it's still ongoing.
Man, I gotta read.
I want to get Javier on here as a fact checker. That was that was very snappy.
That was great.
I dig it. We appreciate you, Javier.
Yes, yes, we do.
I have a bunch of other like DC books and stuff, but I'm not going to talk about those because I already talked about one. I'm going to talk about one that didn't come out this year. Came out before I was born. But Kamiko published Johnny Quest books in the 80s.
Oh my god.
I love it.
That's super cool.
It's just
Yeah.
fun. And Doug Wildey, who was the like designer and main creative force behind the original show,
Mhm.
did several issues. So like reading his comic book work was really interesting. Seeing his the way he rendered everything when he didn't have to worry about animating it was really interesting.
Mhm.
All the covers are spreads.
Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of surprised that you even found that because I worked at a comic shop and we had so many back issues. I hardly ever saw any back issues of Johnny Quest.
Yeah,
Surprised that you found it.
I found a near complete lot on eBay.
Wow.
But I've
That's
not
insane.
found all of them yet. It's going to be, I have like 5 different things I'm going to be treasure hunting for this year, and one of them is filling in Johnny Quest. And you know, it's Johnny Quest, so the, you know, your mileage may vary in terms of the depth of character and storytelling, although some of them are surprisingly, you know, very character focused. The writer for them was William Mr. Loebs, who was a major writer, not major, but he was around a lot in the 80s and 90s. I think he was the first one to write Wally West as the Flash. If you're a DC fan, that's where I knew him from. The art team rotates. Like I said, this one is Doug Wildey. It's edited by Diana Schutz. And I don't know a whole lot about Diana Schutz, but I just recently read through some Indiana Jones comics that she also edited. So it seems like Diana Schutz and I have similar taste. So I really enjoyed reading those this year. So I need to, that's another project of mine, is to find out more what she did. I'm trying to find a good Doug Wildey page on here. Yeah, just, you know, globe-trotting boyhood adventures of a kid and his overworked father and
Mhm.
his bodyguard and his buddy and their dog. So I think
I will-
interesting.
Good.
I will literally never forget that my first introduction to Johnny Quest was literally not the comic, not the cartoon or anything. It was Harvey Birdman Attorney at Law, and
Yeah, that's where I've heard about it.
and
from.
it was I swear that is forever in my head canon that that him and his bodyguard are husbands.
Yep.
The intro
Yes.
to the show, it's so clear. I think that's my headcanon. You know, whatever. My intro to Johnny Quest, so I didn't have cable growing up, so I only got to watch it at my grandmother's house. So
Mhm.
whenever I would go over there, it would always be during the block of Cartoon Network when Super Friends and Johnny Quest were on. And so I don't know.
That makes a
It's
lot of sense.
it's totally a nostalgia pick, but look at what I shared today.
We'll take
It
it.
is
Consider-
it is honestly very clear why Venture Bros is very heavily influenced from
I love Venture Bros. I fell off Venture Bros. I don't know how many seasons did they have, but I maybe made it about halfway through before maybe I caught up to it, and then I just never went back to it when they released new stuff. But no, that's a fun kind of riff on that idea.
Mhm.
Was Johnny Quest a part of the I forget what publishing studio did it, but there was like a
Hanna-Barbera?
Hanna-Barbera there was like a Hanna-Barbera reboot series a couple years ago, and there was like a Flintstones, a Wacky Races, and they were all like weird takes. Was there a Johnny Quest?
Future Quest with Doc
Future
Shane.
Quest. Okay, was Space
And
Ghost
Jeff
in that or no?
Barker.
Okay.
That's why
Yeah,
I
I just got the Flintstones, so I'm like trying to work my way through
I
that like
haven't read
weird
Flintstones.
segment.
I've read Snagglepuss, which is also by Mark Russell, and it's very good. So it made me want
Yeah,
to go back.
apparently it's really good. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, got surprisingly emotional reading Snagglepuss.
That's a surprise.
That's the quote for the episode.
There you
That
go.
is the quote for the episode. I got surprisingly
Snagglepuss
emotional
made me
reading
emotional,
Snagglepuss.
guys.
Like you do.
Exactly.
But yeah, I could vamp for the rest of the time talking about all the other books that I read and enjoyed, but those I think were three that I go back to a lot.
That's a solid 3. That's a solid top 3. We'll take that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I dropped Kyle's link for his Ko-fi in the chat also, guys, so go check his stuff out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just plug real quick. So I have one book for sale on my Ko-fi. You can get a digital version for $5, or you can get the hard copy for $10. If you want to be a subscriber, you get a download of a kind of a deluxe version of the issue. I'm hoping 2023 will be a more productive year, so I'm hoping you will have a lot of activity on that site going forward. So
That's the goal.
check.
Are you starting? Is this starting the clap, Chelsea or Kelsey?
I'm my ADHD is kicking in. I need to
okay.
keep my hands busy.
Makes sense.
We'll
Yeah.
we'll clap anyways. Yay!
Yay!
Kelsey, if you're getting antsy, you want to go?
Sure.
Yeah.
Do I have to keep it to 3?
Nah.
Okay, cool. Because I got
Got
more
time.
than 3 to talk about.
Yeah, just go.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're only at 7:30, so we're gonna probably end early any. So
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Go.
I'll go ahead and start with the books that I have physical copies for before I get into the books that I had to pull up cover art for because I borrowed them from the library or from friends. First one that I want to geek out about. I'm so glad that I got this. The Less Than Epic Adventures of TJ and Amal by E.K. Weaver. This is the compendium. It has the entire webcomic run in one place.
That's
I love
cool.
this. I love this book so much, y'all. I could talk about this all dang day, but I will try not to. It's for anybody who does not know what this story is about. It's about Amal, who is leading the life that he thinks he wants, where he's like engaged to a beautiful lady and he's about to become a doctor. Only he's really tired of living the lie and he comes out as gay and his family blows up and he decides, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to take a road trip across the country to get to my little sister's college and I'm going to see her graduate, whether the family wants me there or not. And the day that he decides this, he goes to a bar and he befriends TJ. And TJ's like, hey, dude, I will pay your way to there. Just don't ask me any questions about where I got the money. And we'll have a fun time and we'll road trip together. And that is what this story is about, is a buddy road trip. And it's
Oh my gosh.
it has it is also a gay romance, because of course it is.
Even better.
And yes, absolutely it is. There are some spicy scenes in here. And but the thing is that it's a slow build, which I appreciate. And there's like playlists throughout.
Fair.
And there is so much good character banter in this. Like, I don't know if I can find it right away, but there's one little character bit where they're like driving and TJ's trying to pull up some music and then he's like, oh yeah, this is totally metal sounding band. And then he starts playing the track and then he's like, your iPod is full of lies.
Like mine.
Oh yeah, mine is also full of lies. Oh, they also have little asides between chapter breaks. Balls.
I love the inking on there. The inking's real good.
I love it because what it is it's a pencil texture throughout.
Oh.
I
Ooh.
love how very sketchy and rough it is. But
Yeah.
you can tell every diner scene is like based on a real scene. And this is the deluxe version. So there's actually like chapter notes in the very back that tell you like Oh man, sorry. I just had to. I flipped open to this, and I love that as the book progresses, she gets more adventurous with like tones.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Is
so
that-
good.
Is that Javier?
What?
You see that guy?
Did you model for E.K. Weaver?
Oh my goodness! Well, now I have to get it.
Yeah, absolutely have to get it. Highly recommend it.
Did you travel all the way out there and then come back and before we even noticed?
I do not tell my secrets.
Aw.
Mhm. But there's like, and also the chapter notes include like behind the scenes, like character art sketches and concept notes.
That's awesome.
And
Oh, I love
like,
that.
more detailed playlists. Like I was thinking of this song when drawing this scene or things like that. I love it. I love it so much.
So you said it was published as a webcomic first?
This was a webcomic first, and then it got put out by Iron Circus Comics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I took advantage of this during, I think they were having like a Pride Month sales event, and this was marked like 33% off or something like that. And I'm like, done. I'm buying it.
Do you know if the format, because it looks like a pretty standard aspect ratio and everything. Do you know if
Yeah, this is standard comic size. The way that E.K. Weaver played around with the webcomic format, though, was there are some page spreads, particularly the landscape ones, are in full color. Let me see if I can find one. Oh, I see it. Okay.
Oh, gorgeous.
Wow, that's awesome.
Oh,
And these are scattered throughout the book.
Oh,
So-
gosh.
That's
Oh
sick.
my, I
Wow.
love it. The webcomic version does have subtle animations. Like there's a scene where TJ's smoking a cigarette towards the end, and the webcomic version actually has like I have to pronounce this properly, a jife of the smoke coming up off of the end of the cigarette. But yeah, the webcomic
Cool.
version, and there's a night sky in the middle of like, I think Iowa or something like that. You can't really see it too well because of the glare of the screen, but that's there. This comic is so pretty.
That looks so good.
Oh, it's so good. Highly recommend it. Also, the Waffle House scene and the aftermath of it just makes me crack up every time.
Now, the webcomic, is it is that the entire webcomic collected into that book, or is it just, is there any extra things in the book that aren't in the webcomic?
So this is the entire webcomic. I think there is also, if I remember correctly, there should be like a little comic short in the back. That was, yeah, it's right here. There's a short comic in the back of the book that was online exclusive, but it finally got put into, here we are. The next few pages are from an out-of-print, adults-only side comic called Whispergrass that I did back in summer of 2013. It's basically a gratuitous sex scene set between chapters 24 and 25. The rest of the content is, well, adult, but the first 5 pages have some characterization that isn't in the main story, and that's what this is. It's just the first, 5 pages or so of the thing. Yeah.
Nice.
Get the other one for more details.
Yes. Yes, very much so. Yeah, highly recommend it. It's also gotten some really good, it's gotten some good accolades. Winner of the 2015 Lambda Literary Award for Best LGBT Graphic Novel. Winner of the 2016 Harvey Award for Best Graphic Album, previously published. And nominee for the 2016 Eisner Award for Best Graphic Novel Reprint.
Mm.
So it's been nominated for a bunch of awards, and it's for good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one. I also want to share Threadbare Memories by Angela Boyle. This is a comic by a buddy of mine.
Oh.
She's not on the Discord because she's based out west on the West Coast, but I backed her Kickstarter to make this book happen. And it's so sad.
Aww.
This comic is so sad. I got to the ending, and then when I was sitting with her for a creator interview on my YouTube channel, I was like, okay, so I finished reading Threadbare Memories. First of all, how dare you? Because
How dare.
well, the premise is that it's about this young lady who grows up pretty much the only kid, isolated from everybody else, and her best friend is this little robot creature that's just a potato with tentacles.
Aw.
As one does.
As one does.
Sounds like my childhood.
Yeah. The premise is Nadine lives with her robot toys and her father, who loves her very much. He gives her everything she could ask for, except to leave their home. Left alone while her father heads to work, Nadine is left looking out over the world from a single garden dome at the top of a spire. She may be lonely, but she has her best friend in Cobb, a furry little bean of a robot. Playing with her only friend, she finds out a secret her father has hidden from her. But once she knows, why doesn't she seem to care? So that's this story's like back blurb. It's in the back here. Highly recommend it. Because it's just, man, there's so much about this that is just so atmospheric, and yet it's also like you can tell that there are scenes that have a lot of love put into them, like this. It's a freaking full bookcase. She didn't have to go that hard, and yet she did.
Yeah.
Speaking as somebody who has set scenes and been like, yeah, let's do this, and I'll have to draw a bunch of these things, and then gotten to the page and gone, oh no, why did I do that to myself?
Put somebody in the foreground, quick.
Yeah. Drawing a cheat so you don't have to draw in so many people in a crowd. There's a lot about this that is very atmospheric. Like there's like this.
That's very nice.
Yeah, and there's like a gray wash going. Like the way that she does gray wash is really like stood out to me. And the way that she was willing to end this the way that she did, I was like, that takes some guts to not have a happy ending. A little bit of a downer. Just a heads up before you get this. But I respect the creator drive to want to tell that story. And that's why I wanted to share that. And also because it's a book by a friend of mine and you should get it because it's good. Also, and now we're getting into the mangas. I read a lot of manga last year. So like Puella Magi Madoka Magica, a different story. I'm only highlighting volume 1 because volume 2 was disappointing. But if you've ever watched the first anime, this is a retelling of it from the perspective of these two girls. And if you don't know what the anime is about, just imagine if you wanted Sailor Moon powers, but you had to sell your soul to get them.
As you do.
As you do. That's Puella Magi Madoka Magica.
It's tragic. You'll have a good
very
time.
tragic.
You'll love it.
Yeah, it's very tragic. It's one of my favorite anime of all time. And I had to read the manga adaptations to see how faithful they were to the anime because the anime came out first. I'm glad that this went in the direction that it did because I was like, I was not expecting Kyoko and Mami to have bitter X vibes, but I'm glad that it exists. The thing about this anime series is it toes the edge of lesbian representation without actually going into lesbian representation, but like these two are girlfriends. And I will die on this hill. So I did enjoy it though. There were some things about this that I really, as I picked this up after reading the first manga go round, I gotta say the manga creator actually improved their action scenes in this volume.
Those look sick.
Yeah. For the first 3 volumes of the Madoka Magica manga adaptation was barely legible, and they got so much better in this volume. Like, I was actually impressed. I was like, holy dang, you actually improved your page compositions and how you stage a fight and all this stuff. Also, their monster designs are so freaking slick.
Yeah.
I love it.
I don't know if you said this already because I was doing behind the scenes stuff, but is this an ongoing? Because I know you said volume 2 is disappointing, but is there more than that? Or
I think it's like it's like 3 volumes because the manga adaptations of Madoka Magica are like 3 volumes each. I think the max is like 4 or 5. They're short run. They're short run mangas. So if you're looking for something short run, there you go. Okay, those were the ones that I have like physical copies for. Everything else is all digital covers. So let me share my screen. Yeah. Share the screen. We're going to share this window. Behind the scenes tech stuff.
Boom. There we go.
Ooh, I really love it.
The entire book is like this. The entire book is like this. Witchlight by Jesse Zabarski. Wanted to highlight because I went to college with this person. She was not part of Ray. She was not part of the Arts Village that I know of. Okay. But she was a member of the Comics and Cartooning Club that was on campus. Okay. Yeah, so that was how I met her. That was how we knew each other. But wanted to read this because I saw that it was her work, and because I saw her work in the early days, I was like, oh yeah, that is definitely Jessie. Yeah, you can tell by all of the like very luscious flora and the strong line work. She has always had strong line work. Like her lines are just bold AF.
Yeah.
It is amazing. But also this comic is a unique concept. The concept of this comic is the young lady at the top is kidnapped by the young lady at the bottom. The young lady at the bottom is a witch, and you can tell she's a witch because all witches in this universe have a floating candle above their head.
Okay.
That's why it's called Witchlight. And that candle has to be solid and lit at all times. If it's cut in half or extinguished, the witch dies.
Ooh. So
yeah, it's that kind of a world. But the thing is that if I remember this premise correctly, the witch on the cover only has some of her powers. She does not have all of them, and she is trying to find the person who took away her powers in order to get them back. And the girl who goes along with her is like, hey, I'm really good at swords. You can't defend yourself very well at all. I will protect you on your quest. And that is what that story is. But I wanted to highlight it because person I know, and the art. I cannot stop gushing about the art.
Yeah.
Is there sorry, I totally forgot what I was going to say.
Take your time.
I was going to ask, where can we find this? Is this a webtoon specifically, or is this on your friend's website? Or
I believe, I found this copy at my local library. So if it's not available at the library, though, I would check with this was, I think, Random House Kids was the ones who put this out.
Gotcha.
Yeah, which they released some pretty good books. I'll be honest. I'm also surprised at how many like queer books Random House Kids puts out. I was very surprised by that. Because like this reading Witchlight, it is very obviously a lesbian love story. So if you're looking for that kind of vibe, there you go. You have to acknowledge the vibe in this story.
Acknowledged.
Always.
Yeah. Speaking of lesbian stories, Flung Out of Space. This one's by Grace Ellis and Hannah Templar. This one I read a digital edition of, and y'all, the women in this comic are drawn so beautifully. Like, there's a scene where there's this woman in like this like big, thick, like fur coat, and it's like set in the 50s, so like her hair is like perfectly coiffed, and she's just this blonde bombshell, and it just
Just like
yeah, it's good. The one thing that I do like about this particular story, Flung Out of Space, is it's semi-biographical because it's about an author named Patricia Highsmith who was writing lesbian love stories in the 50s.
oh,
Which was very bold of her because that was a decade where people were sent to conversion therapy, like, and it was publicly okay to do that. Like, in fact, Patricia Highsmith herself was doing conversion therapy when she was alive, but she was still writing lesbian romance. And this book actually shares some scenes of her being in conversion therapy and what that looks like. It's also very honest about the fact that Patricia Highsmith was a very problematic person. Like, yeah, Patricia Highsmith, anti-Semitic AF, went to conversion therapy because she was like, nah, I don't want to be a lesbian, except I kind of do. And I like going to conversion therapy to make the female therapists uncomfortable. And just, there was so much about this person that was so very abrasive, but there was still something about it that was like, you're still compelled to follow along this person's journey. Also, the art is just solid AF. Because this book is just about her life trying to break out of what she thought was pulp nothing and trying to write like quote unquote literature. The quote unquote literature that she really wanted to put out there was her lesbian romance, The Price of Salt, which eventually had to be published under a different name. But I think it is still available to this day as The Price of Salt. Coincidentally, there is actually a Christmas movie based off of some of the events that are part of Patricia Highsmith's life and part of The Price of Salt. Oh God, I am blanking on the Christmas movie's name. If I think of it, I will share it. But it was highlighted by Kyle Calgarin's. He did a YouTube video all about like offbeat Christmas movies that you should check out if you're really tired of seeing the same stuff over and over again.
Is it Carol?
Carol, thank you.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking up her biography right now. Strangers on a Train and the Talented Mr. Ripley.
Oh, I've read that.
And I remember actually, I listened to a podcast that talked about this, or maybe it was even when I was listening to Grace Ellis's talk at CXC. But she did either comic work or pulp work, but maybe even both. But she was, like you mentioned, not very quick to take credit to doing any of that.
Yeah.
She had her sights set on literature. But fascinating. I do want to read this.
Yeah,
I do too.
By the way, that movie that you were talking about, Carol, if it wasn't enticing enough, its connection to this comic, it has Kate Blanchett in it.
Yeah.
And Rooney Mara and Sarah Paulson, just all the lesbians.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. All of them.
Bring
all
of them in one movie. Yep. Very much so. So yeah, wanted to highlight that because like, even though I've read a ton of other graphic novels and things, and I've read other works by Grace Ellis, this was the one book by Grace Ellis that really stuck with me the most because of the very problematic nature of the main character. But
yeah, it sounds like really compelling. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But
no, you're fine.
good.
But
sounds awesome.
It's still a compelling read, even though she is a problematic main character, because there is something about how very determined she is to achieving her goal that makes you want to see how it's going to play out.
Mhm.
I think is what it is.
Mhm.
So something to consider if you want to try to read a comic about a character that you may have a hard time relating to, whether you are straight or queer. Could be something to take a look at.
Mhm.
And maybe if you want to work on the craft of writing a story with a very difficult character, check out this story. Might give you a couple of ideas. The other two, if I'm cool with sharing just two more books.
Yeah, go ahead. Just like we're
I'll
already at
keep-
8, so
I'll keep
not
it
to
on-
rush you, not to rush you.
No, I'm going to keep it short. First, Blue Period by Tsubasa Yamaguchi. Just everything about this. Everything about this series. I've read up to volume like 5 or 6. So good. And there's actual like good trans representation in there. Like I'm hesitant to say that it's like stellar trans representation because the characters do waffle back and forth on what pronouns to use for this particular person, but at the same time, the person in question also waffles back and forth on what pronouns to use. Like they're still figuring their identity out. But it is still like there are also parts of this that are just like, oh man, these are the parts of art school that I miss.
For sure. I watched the anime of this year, and I was really surprised at like how it like really hit home.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like the trans representation was like surprising to me because like that is, especially at art school, that's a very real thing that a lot of people deal with, and to see it like it's very explicit in this. Even on the anime, like even on Netflix, I was like, wow, like they're going for it. So
and in the realm of manga, it's really hard to find it taken seriously. Usually, it's just as a joke within the context, and it doesn't really work very well. But I'm
yeah. Although if you want good trans representation in manga, I recommend Boys Run the Riot.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah, it's about a trans man who starts a fashion label with a guy friend.
Awesome.
Yeah, very good. I've read the first 2 volumes. And the other one is The Case Study of Vanitas. I don't think it came out last year. I think it came out in like 2018, but I discovered it last year. And I was surprised to see that the creator of Full Metal Alchemist actually wrote feedback. Like on the inside cover, before the comic even starts, there's freaking Hiromu Arakawa being like, how dare you end chapter 1 like this? Now I have to read the rest of this story.
That baffles me. I've only seen the anime of this. I actually need to read the manga then, especially if she made a comment.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ethan, I have to dip out. So it was very nice seeing you guys and seeing all the comics that you are reading right now. I'm definitely going to have to put a lot of these, especially TJ and Amal. That definitely piques my interest for sure.
Yeah, thank you, Javier, for joining us.
You need
Thanks
to
for
read
sharing.
it so that I can geek out with you about it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
We'll
thanks
definitely have
for
to have you
being
on.
Later.
Deuces. All right.
I do feel a little bad that I talked a lot before Javier could hear Ray's feedback, so I'll just go ahead.
We still got 2 people to go, so
okay.
Plus, it's recorded. It's going to be on YouTube.
That's true.
Yeah, they'll be able to find it later.
That's true. So all I'll say about the case study of Vanitas is that, I mean, there is a little bit of a problem with some romance things, and I'll get to that in a second. But the premise of the story is a vampire lad who grows up in the country goes to steampunk France, or like steampunk. It's more like crystal punk. Everything runs on crystals. There's no steam whatsoever. But young vampire lad from the country goes to fantasy France to find Vanitas, who has a magical book that has the true names of all vampires, which has the ability to kill all vampires. But this human is using the Book of Vanitas to cure vampires of a particular blight that is specific to them. And the young vampire lad is set out to find out why. Why is the human doing this? It's a great story. Also, Volume 1 has probably my favorite little behind-the-scenes thing pertaining to manga creation that I've ever seen, where this book was put out by Square Enix. Fun fact, also relevant because the author, Jun Mochizuki, was working with the person who designed the airship that shows up in chapter 1 of the book. And he was like, I want it to look like a cathedral tossed up in the air that floats on its own, and you have no idea how. And the designer sent over sketches, and the author was like, oh, I love all of these. I have to show all of my assistants. And then the assistant's feedback was, you're not getting me to draw that.
This isn't Warhammer, jeez.
It's just, I love that so much. But also the sense of humor in this it's surprisingly good. Like, it is all very character based. So like, it's just the young vampire lad being like absolutely starry eyed over how everything looks so good in fantasy France, or like, oh my god, we're in a floating castle, and everyone else is like, yeah, we're in a floating castle. Sit back down. We're about to land. Like stuff like that, and it's very good. There is a little bit of like a bit of problematic nature with some of the like romance, especially with like the forced kisses and stuff, but otherwise it's actually pretty solid. And those were some of my favorite books of 2022.
Yay!
There we go. Got
Clap.
the clap. Hell yeah.
Thank you.
Clap,
Cool.
clap.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing those. That was a lot. That was good. I
It
got
was a lot, yeah.
I got a lot to add to my list, is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Royce.
Yeah.
you
All
and
right,
me,
I'm
me or you.
next.
You're good.
Yay, I'm next. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the guts in the room here.
Yes.
Because recently the volume 41 came out of the Berserk series, and I've been keeping up with it, and it takes a while for him to come out, and because of Kentaro Miura's death, this is the last one he ever worked on.
Ooh,
This is the last book he ever worked on before he died,
man.
and it really holds a place in my heart because he's inspired me ever since I was in high school, and I want to not be like him, but basically I understand his worth ethic. And this is the big change of the series after a long while. They finally get, I don't know if you know, but they finally get the female character's mind back in this volume. And everything changes from here on out.
And then it ends.
This is where it was going to end, but they decided to continue it because what happened was Kentaro Miura had a best friend of 40 years who also writes manga.
Oh.
And I relate to that a lot because I've had friends since I was in 4th grade and we're still friends today. And they chose a really good person to continue with this manga, and I really love it. So this is what I read this year.
Ooh.
Always a huge fan.
Mm-hmm.
I actually went through mourning period when I heard about the news.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Even though you don't have that personal connection with, a famous author or whatever, you still feel sad.
Yeah, their work has an outsized influence on your life. That means something.
Yeah, and a lot of my characters are sort of heavy-handedly based off stories like this. So I will always love him for that. And what I also like about this book, at the very end, they have a To All the Fans section.
Aww.
And a little sort of like thank you.
Aww.
And
Good.
And then, let's see, I think it was beforehand. Yeah. Little memorial in the back, and I was just like, I must share this. I definitely keep with the series because it gets really good. Even though the hiatuses are long, it's worth it.
For sure.
But that's the one I wanted to talk about the most. But I also have one comic. The rest are manga. But this is one comic that I read this year. I was really excited for in the Transformers universe.
Ooh.
They did a Shattered Glass run of Transformers. It takes from the idea, comes from Star Trek, I think, where the Autobots are the bad guys and the Decepticons are the good guys.
Hmm.
So they sort of flip-flop personalities. Like now Optimus is more evil and very more authoritarian and more violent. So
Interesting.
and what I love about this is that you have Starscream. He's the main focus of this first issue. This is Blur on the cover, who he's chasing to find Megatron. But basically, Starscream is like, I'm full of myself still. He's still very full of himself, but
Of course.
it emphasizes more of his good qualities that Starscream has developed over the course of the previous comics. So that's what I really liked about this one. Let's see if I can. The art was done by Guido Guidi, who does a really good, more Generation 1 type look on the Transformers. There are some artists that always have their own spin and make them less boxy. And his art is actually really well done in that regard. Let me try to find a good shot here that I can showcase. Here we go. Here's a back-to-back image of Starscream and Blur there.
That's sick.
Oh, dope.
Yeah. And I think the coloring's really good too. They do a really good job with all the designs and stuff. And I was really impressed with the stories. And I just like seeing my favorite Autobots being evil. It's just really kind of funny. Like they
Fair
have
enough.
like Ratchet's my favorite, and they have Ratchet in here just being a complete asshole. I love it. So
Nice.
I definitely highly recommend this. And Alex Maline, who does the cover, I also love his art too. He is one of the best ones I've seen. Next to another author named Sarah. She's in the back. Sarah Durocher. And then Saren Stone also worked on Transformer runs. They're really great artists, and I want to go to TFCon so I can support them directly.
Same here. Yeah, I'm like consistently amazed at like how good the Transformers comics look most of the time. Like it's very rare that you're gonna get a dud issue art wise.
Yeah, exactly. There are some artists that are hit or miss. Like I like Guido Guidi's art, but I'm not a huge fan of the boxy Generation 1 look, but he pulls it off real well.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And then I'm going to jump back to manga now. This one's more recent. It came out last year, the more recent volumes, but it's very relatable if you have a cat, because it's literally just called A Man and His Cat.
I love how fat that cat is.
Yeah. It jumps from the cat's perspective and the man's perspective throughout the story. And in the beginning, the cat's like, "Oh, no one's going to adopt me. I'm too ugly." But then this middle-aged man who I think lost his wife and his kids are outgrown, like he's alone, and he adopts this big fluffy cat. He's just like, "I love you," and he puts his face in his cat's stomach, like, and I relate to that so much. And it's just him and the relationships with the people around him and this cat. Like that's literally the entire series. Like I need to find one. I think they'd appreciate a panel that I saw in here where
Oh my god, that's so cute.
let's see if I can find it. There's one part where the cat's like, "Oh, he hasn't come home yet. I miss him."
Oh,
It's just really cute.
it is time for me to die. My father is not home.
Exactly.
Yep.
I really enjoyed that part.
That is my kitten Mew every time I leave the house.
Aww.
He gets up on the cat tree and he's like, "My parents has left."
Here we go. If you can see the bottom panel.
Oh my gosh.
Just puts his head into the big fat cat. And I relate to this so much. And it's very wholesome. If you want like a very wholesome read, it doesn't go too hard on the dramatic, which is what I appreciate. And I absolutely adore it. All because of this big fat cat.
I just love that panel where it's like his head is up and then very next one.
Yeah, exactly.
Face plant into the cat.
And then it also really reflects on, I know I keep going on about my cat, but how a cat, sometimes you're happy if the cat like sleeps with you in your
Yes.
bed because they're very independent. Like, he actually loves me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, geez.
Just all the.
Oh,
So yeah, I
look
definitely
at
recommend
that.
reading that one.
Oh
That
my
one's a good one.
gosh.
It's really
That-
cute.
That is adorable.
I love that one. It makes me so happy. And then the last one I have is bouncing to more suspense manga, but the anime actually came out on Netflix, and I want to rewatch the anime and read the manga. But it's Monster by Naoki Urasawa.
Monster's so
I
fucking good.
I kept seeing that at a library that I used to work at, but I never got around to reading it.
It has one of the first volume doesn't really showcase it, but I've read a lot of essays and listened to a lot of YouTube videos about the villain. The villain is a really good manipulator villain in this, and he basically tortures the main character throughout the story.
Oh, geez.
This first volume is just about how he sort of got to that point and how the main villain came about. It has a lot of hospital politics because it's about this main character is a doctor who basically is one of the best surgeons in that hospital, and the hospital also wants to keep up a reputation. So when an accident happens to like the president or something, I think they're in Germany right now. So like the prime minister, whatever leadership is in Germany, is shot. He comes in, be like, we have to save the president. It's going to be good for the hospital. It's going to be good for you. But there's also this kid who is in desperate need of surgery as well. And the surgeon isn't as great or is showcased as not like a first time surgeon. Like he probably wouldn't be able to save the kid. And so the doctor chooses to save the kid over the president.
Oh.
And that gets him like heavily demoted throughout the hospital. But then you find out that kid is the main villain of the story.
Gotcha.
And he manipulates people to harm themselves.
This sounds like a more enjoyable Ode to Kirihito.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If you've ever read Ode to Kirihito, first of all, I am sorry. Second of all, just read Monster. It sounds like.
Yeah. It literally says from Japan's master of suspense right there.
Nice.
And yeah, the author also did a cute segment on YouTube, like Manga Yen or something like that. And he just
Manben.
Yeah, that's it. He talks to different mangakas, and he had a Junji Ito one, and it was really awesome.
Oh my gosh. I want to see that.
I think I'll have to find it on YouTube. I don't know if it still exists, but I think you can find them on YouTube.
I'm subscribed to them. So
what is it called again?
It's called Manben.
Manben.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he interviews, I think the Junji Ito one is still up, but I also know he interviewed some other like shoujo artist, another one, like a bunch of different, and they sort of tell you about their process.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, Urasawa's insane. He doesn't make bad shit. Like 20th Century Boys is another like one of my favorites by him. Not to like
that's another one that I keep seeing, and I haven't read that one yet.
It's really good.
His work is consistently really, really good, and his line work is actually really, really good.
I was about to say that line work is freaking solid.
Yeah, like, well, let me find a good panel here, because the thing about this like suspense manga, it's actually more cluttered than you would think. Like the pages are a lot more cluttered with panels than you would normally think of a manga.
Yeah.
That looks like a Western layout.
Yeah. Let's see if I can find. Oh, here we go. Here's where the suspense comes. But yeah, this is the villain shadow right there.
Oh, dude, I like that lighting.
That backlighting's good.
Yeah, once it gets into the nitty gritty, it gets really good.
Yeah, manga is not something I have really any experience with, but Urasawa's name is definitely one that has broken through into like my to where I recognize that name. Like obviously the output's got to be pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's one of the better artists. And going back to Kentaro Miura, though, there's a panel that I actually want to show.
Does it make an homage to Kentaro?
Yes, exactly. You must remember him. Rest in peace. This is my memoriam forever.
Mhm.
But
Like I knew that that mangaka would reference each other's stuff, but that's a whole new level.
that's how much I really like him a lot. You cannot steer me wrong.
Oh, that's like, sorry, I was just thinking about this, like a little aside where the guy who does the art for One Punch Man did this like Twitter comic, one panel at a time of like him trying to run away from his editor, and it really played around with like like for example, there's like a line down the middle of the page and it's implied to be like a cliff face, and you see the editor on the horizon as a tiny little stick man, and he's like, "Where'd you go?" And then like there's actually there's a chunk of the cliff that like a piece of paper just opens like a little door, and there's the artist on the back of the door.
I love that. That's fabulous.
Like it plays around with format so easily, but like before that little scene happens, like the artist of One Punch Man, or the guy who draws One Punch Man and who also did, I think, Prince of Tennis, he's like running, jump off the edge of the cliff, and his parachute opens, and the top of the parachute says, "I love Madoka Magica," as he floats down.
That's amazing. I love that.
And it has Madoka's face on there, and I'm like, first of all, that's adorable. Second of all, wow.
But yeah, that's awesome though.
Yeah. And Blue Period makes a reference to Hunter x Hunter at one point.
Really?
Yeah, like volume 4 or 5, the entrance exams are right freaking there. The main character's like, "Oh no, these exams, they're so deadly. Is this going to be like Hunter x Hunter?" And I'm like, I was not expecting that, but kudos.
There's a fun factoid. The creator of Hunter x Hunter and Sailor Moon are married.
Yes, I love that they're married, because it's almost like the real life version of Usagi and
You gotta go.
whatever his name is.
I don't remember his name, but he also created Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah. But like I was talking about this with my roommate yesterday, because she's a big Sailor Moon nerd and I'm a big Togashi nerd. And I'm like, they're in real life. I know that the creator of Sailor Moon has like, she has a driver's license. She drives a Porsche. She looks so gorgeous. Her life is all together. And then you cut to Togashi and he's just sitting on the floor surrounded by trash and weeping.
It's like Hidetaki Anno and his wife.
Yes. But very much so. And my roommate's at the corner of the living room just.
Did you find that panel, Royce?
Yeah, I found two ones that I want to share.
Okay.
This one just to showcase how like good his backgrounds were.
Wow.
That's like a palace and like a falcon themed.
Oh my god.
That's awesome.
And then the other one is what I like panels of is Guts just sitting like
being sad.
Not being sad, just contemplating life,
Pensive.
That's a vibe I have a lot as an adult. Just sit outside and look at the sky and just think about life. That's what I like most about later Guts, is that he's actually very calm right here. Which is really good development from where you first met him, which is just like Kratos from God of War, just angry all the time.
All the time.
But yeah, those were mine. Yeah.
Thank you, Royce. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll go real quick just so we can get out of here, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay.
I'm gonna get my weeb shit out of the way. The first one is Tekkon Kincrete. It's by Taiyo Matsumoto. And I don't know if anybody. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Tekkon Kincrete, Black and White. I don't know if anybody knows, but the Ping Pong series, he also did that, which is in my top 10 of all time. Like, it's incredible. But this one's about like two little like street urchin boys. One's named Black and one's named White.
Okay.
And they just like beat the shit out of like gangs. Like they're like 8 years old, but they go around and like they're so strong they can just like beat anybody up. And
Dang.
the whole thing's about like Black is like a really nice kid and White's like stupid. Black is stupid and nice, and White is like angry. And the whole thing is like they want to protect each other, but like White might do some crazy shit, and Black's like too nice to get into that shit. So it's a lot. It's very good. I don't want to give any more away, but there's an anime of it if you don't feel like reading, but also read it.
I remember seeing commercials for the anime, and I was like, I gotta check that out.
Give me that name one more time.
What is it?
Give me that name one more time. What's the title?
It's Tekkon Kingcrete Black and White. It's usually just called Black and White, I think, but this is like the complete edition.
Yeah, and the ping pong anime, he also did Devilman Crybaby, the same animator. Is from what I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, Devilman Crybaby is good as well. So, so that's the weeb shit.
Yeah.
Our fearless leader Sydney recommended this book to me earlier in the year, and I
That's
checked it
a good
out.
one.
Ooh.
It is incredibly good. Scott McCloud is the guy who does like the Understanding Comics, Making Comic stuff. He knows his stuff. I had never read a comic. Well, I lied. I did read one comic by him, and I didn't really like it. But this is the good shit. So there's a guy who like is a struggling artist, and he's sad all the time, which is
Like you
relatable.
do.
Yeah.
Aren't we all?
And he gives up like his lifespan so that he can just like sculpt anything with his hands. Like he can grab like a cinder block and mold it into a certain shape.
Okay.
And he thinks that this is gonna like give him happiness, but it doesn't. Like he's gotta like find it in himself and like accept who he is. And it's like a romance too. And it's just about like his relationship with art and his relationship with like how he perceives himself and like what he needs to do. And I don't know if it's just me being like a sad artist all the time, but like it hit pretty hard. So definite recommend.
Yeah.
I got two more, and then we're gonna bounce.
All right.
I got The Many Deaths of Layla Starr. This one's pretty popular of last year. It's written by Ram V, and Felipe Andrade does the art. And it's just a really sick, like Indian, like Hindu themed book. But it's about the avatar of death gets fired because the human who will invent immortality is born. So she's just like out of a job. So she goes down to Earth to like kill this guy as a baby, but she can't do it. And she dies instead. So every like once in a while she'll reincarnate and like find this dude, and he'll be like a grown man or like an old man. And she's trying to convince him to like not invent immortality so that she can keep her job. And it's, I don't know, it's just all of it's in one. It's a really self-contained, like beautiful story about like life. And I realized that the sculptor is like that too. So my list is going to be like really morbid, but I don't know.
Cover though.
Oh, he's a
really
badass.
Gorgeous.
He's so good at drawing, and I don't know, his compositions are insane.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, his characters are so distinct too. Like just the look of them is so. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I think you dropped that in our Discord a while back, and it's been on my list for ever since then. So I need to get a hold of that.
It's very short, so I definitely recommend it. I know Ram V has done a lot of other stuff, but I need to get into it because I was really impressed. And then last one, Middle West. Scotty Young, Jorge Corona is doing the art. We're all in Ohio. We know what it's like to be in the Midwest. What about like a fantasy adventure with that theme? Jorge Corona is just like an insanely good artist. Look at these like squirrels, just like it's like a whole field of squirrels.
Dang.
And they're all fat. Yeah.
The big squirrel.
I don't know. Like every panel is like beautifully composed. All the characters have like such a distinct look. Sorry, there's a little bit of a
It's all good.
That's all right.
But yeah, it's really good. The second half is not as strong as the first, but it's just a tale about like when you're in like an abusive relationship and like how you interact with your parents as you grow up, like how that changes. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Scotty Young's like a great artist, but I didn't expect him to like know how to write too. So I was pretty impressed.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. That sounds more enjoyable than the other project that those two worked on that I read last year, which was the Me You Love in the Dark.
I've not read that. How?
Don't.
No? Okay.
No. It reads like Backlash Against the Shape of Water in a bad way.
Oof.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
Well, we'll take Middle West as like our lightning in a bottle then.
Yeah. I would. I'll check that out. That sounds more interesting to me.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The art is incredible. Even if you don't like the story, it's a beautiful book. So I know it's in trades too. I have the hardback here, but there's like a paperback version of this, and then it's in volumes. So
I'd love doing that. Yeah.
but yeah, that's all I got.
Yay!
I forgot about the clap. Yeah,
Always clap.
We got to keep that going.
yeah, we do. Well, it's over now. We're done.
Please clap.
Let's all clap for everyone involved. Javier,
Yay!
wherever you are. There we go. But yeah, I don't have anything else to say, and I think everybody else is tired, and I'm tired. It's been an hour and a half.
Right.
Oh.
I keep awake with the talk of comics, so let's do this again.
So now I need to go read.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to read, and then we'll have to get back together so we could talk about more comics.
Right.
Exactly.
And then next year when we do this, I'm like, well, for 2023, I read Once and Future, One Last Space.
Yeah.
I finally got around to Berserk.
I
yeah.
finally got Berserk. It'll just be a
Yeah.
rerun. But
I have a lot of streaming ideas for this year. I thought about doing a book club kind of thing, but I don't know. We'll see.
That would actually be kind of cool for like a comic thing.
Yeah.
So
would
if
be.
you guys are down, this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed hearing you guys' top picks. I was stoked to do this one, so I'm glad it went well. We got another stream in 2 weeks on Thursday. The something. Let me check real quick.
Thursday.
The 26th.
Thank you.
At 7 p.m. We're going to be drawing live requests again. If you guys remember from December, we did that, and it was a lot of fun. So we're going to do that again. There's a child on screen now. Hello.
Hello, child on
Hi.
screen.
Hello.
Hey, children. Hey, chillin'.
you say hi. No,
No.
you're not gonna say hi.
No, hi.
Hi.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got that stream coming up. Join the Discord, subscribe to the YouTube, follow all these guys on their Instas. They got good art on there. I was about to swear, but there's a child, so I'm good.
But we gotta keep it like. I mean, if we're gonna be dropping anything, it's
Here,
just
I'll
to
mute
teach
you
them.
real quick.
Right. No, I'm good. He's like, I want
Only
to
use
hear it.
this word in proper context.
For sure.
Yeah. I would like to
But
remind the audience that this is a word that we use in a sentence.
For sure. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. It was a lot of fun. So
Yeah, no
Yeah,
problem.
thank you for having us.
Thanks for hosting. This was fun.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And thank you for the book, Rex. Holy damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Same-
wrote
same
down
to you
some
guys.
of them.
I still don't have a catchphrase. I think I said like happy
See you later.
all right. Everybody on 3. 1, 2, 3. See
Happy
you
seeing
guys didn't do it.
later.
Okay, bye.
That's not how
We're
it
done.
works.
See ya.
Bye.